Thanks, guys. It's nice to be here with you all today, and this is going to be a very informal type of presentation. I'm not going to use PowerPoint. This is my screen today. I thought that would be the best backdrop of all in regards to who we are as a foundation, as an alumni association, and how we represent the university as a whole. But that's kind of what I want to do this morning, really, is just give a quick flyover on who we are as a foundation, how we do communicate with you and our constituent base, and how does that differ, if at all, with the approach that the Alumni Association takes, and kind of get your perspective a little bit. You know, earlier, Tammy and Deborah talked a little bit about, and they talked about the different decades that were represented here today. 7 different decades are represented within this group, this leadership group, which is fantastic. And when you really think about that, and if I had the whole group here, I would like to, I would have liked to have brought Leo up and our youngest alum from, I think, the 2010s. I don't remember who that was. But to really bring them up front and to let them give their perspective on what did it mean to communicate and to understand what we do here as a university, and how do we work through those decades in regards to communicating with those different folks. We can all look around the room here today. We're all different, we're all unique, and we all have different interests in regards to how we want to be involved and how we want to support Fort Hays. And where do those interests come from? It comes from the departments in which we were involved, our degrees, the activities that we were involved with here on campus and off campus, and those types of interests. And that's really what development and the foundation is. You know, Deborah talks a lot about friend raising. That's exactly what the foundation does. We're all about friend raising, but it comes down to the emotional side of why do you want to be a friend of your university. If you haven't been engaged before, or if you've always been engaged since you left, or even when you were here as a student, and that has just continued. But oftentimes for us, from a foundation perspective, it's not uncommon for us to go out and talk with people that said, I haven't been back to campus since I graduated 30 years ago. And so how do you start building on those types of relations? And I think that's where it's so vitally important for the chapters to be so involved and to be the ambassadors. The foundation is 15 strong. And you saw the chart for Deborah and her staff, less than that. And so, we're less than 20 people here within the Robbins Center, and only a handful of those really are people that get out on a day-to-day basis to talk to you guys on an individual basis. So it's vitally important that we help steward and help build those chapters as well, because you are the ambassadors for us when we can't be in those areas, and for you to be able to talk about some of those things. We had an event here the other day, the Worcester Society event, which really recognizes donors that have done something through their long-range plans, made that ultimate gift through their will or trust. And I told them the same thing. I said, that you're the true ambassadors of what we do here at Fort Hays State. And those of you who know others that graduated from Fort Hays State, and I'm assuming everyone in this room knows others other than the ones that are sitting here that are graduates. Some of the folks, some of your friends that you've stayed in touch with over the years, some of the folks you get with every year, they come to events and that sort of thing, or even those that don't come to events. I think it's vitally important for us to really communicate with you as a chapter group and say, how can we support your effort as an ambassador of Fort Hays State in going out there and talking to others that maybe have not been engaged before, and say, come out to an event, have some fun, do some different things, learn about what's happening with the university. Because I'll tell you what, and you guys heard the long-range plans from Dr. Hammond, and he really didn't get into some of the successes of the university in recent years, but your university at Fort Hays State is kicking butt. I mean, when you really look at all situations from the Regents schools to the MIAA schools, the conferences that we're involved with, or even regionally, nationally, heck, worldwide, I mean, within the country, we're the second fastest growing university in the country. People don't know that. And, you know, the five of us within the foundation that go out and talk to people on a day-to-day basis can't see enough people to be able to spread that message. And that's why it's really, really important for you guys to understand what the benefits are, what's happening at Fort Hays State, the growth that's happening at Fort Hays State, the three modalities that Dr. Hammond really talks about with international, on campus, and our virtual school, and to be able to, you guys to be able to articulate that with other folks. And it's real simple. You put a smile on your face and you go, my gosh, have you heard what's happening at Fort Hays State? It's unbelievable. They're the second fastest growing school in the country. They provide, they have more students in China than any other post-secondary education institution that isn't a Chinese school. And what's the response that we always get at the foundation? No way. Fort Hays State? Yeah, Fort Hays State. As Ed said, we have the highest revenue, lowest debt structure. We're building new buildings. Capital projects are growing. Student enrollment is growing. Our strategic plan for 2020 to serve 7,500 students on our campus is well underway. We're having a record number of enrollments from Colorado to our freshman class, et cetera. The train is rolling down the track. And the difference between what we do with the foundation and what the Alumni Association does is there is no difference. We're all trying to build friends. We're all trying to build relationships with others and to spread the good word. And when that good word is given, and when you have that relationship, you know, why do you guys give dollars to Fort Hays State? I've got a great relationship. I'm a part of the chapter. I'm engaged. I come back to ball games. They have events. We have a good time. And you know, when I look back, when I was a student, you know, I was in the art department. Guess where some of my dollars go? To the art department. Just like all you guys, you all have special interests, and you think, well, I'm engaged, I'm having fun, I'm a graduate of business, I'm a graduate from any of the departments, and you just say, you know, when they call me on Tiger Call, which is going on right now, and I'll give you a few facts about that later, you're more apt to say, yeah, sure, I'll support that. And then you might be more apt to when one of us from the development staff or somebody from the alumni office calls and said, hey, let's go out for a cup of coffee, let's go out for lunch or whatever. You're probably more apt to say, yeah, sure, let's get together, hear what's going on. And eventually you start moving along with the university, and then you think, you know, I really want to get to a point to where I can make a major commitment or make that ultimate commitment, like the Wooster Group that we talked to earlier this week. That's what the foundation does. And isn't that what you do as an ambassador for the Alumni Association, is to go out and build those relationships and to try to do those very same things? We're all in the same boat together. And from the perspective of the university's growth, I'm sure you guys have seen some of the press releases and the press conferences that we've had in recent weeks in regards to some of the gifts that we've been able to receive. We've received or had press conferences for 5 gifts totaling 7 figures each. Never heard of before here at Fort Hays State. That's unheard of. 7 figures? You know, when I first got here 6 years ago, they said, you know, gosh, Tim, you want to ask people for 10 grand? Yeah, I do. We need that. Well, we're used to asking for around 1,000 or 5,000. Look where we've grown in just 6 years, just by engaging people and looking at different things and building those relationships. And pretty soon you think, I want to leave a legacy at Fort Hays State University. It changed my life. I learned how to party in Hays. And from there, I made lifelong friends, or I met my spouse. A lot of things changed in our lives by coming to Fort Hays State. And I think from a positive perspective, and that's what we do on a daily basis, is when we sit down and talk to folks, and the first questions I ask, when's the last time you were back in Hays? Oh, it's been a while. Well, tell me about, what'd you do when you were here in Hays? Where's some of the haunts? What's some of the places you used to go when you were in Hays? Ever go to the rail? Oh yeah. The rail was one of my favorite spots. Then we'd go to the home, maybe down to Professors, the 3 Club. I mean, you could go through the whole thing. And pretty soon they start thinking about, I need to get back to Hays. Haven't been there for a while. And then they come back to Hays and they think, gosh, the campus is the same, but it's totally different. There's new buildings. The buildings, I go in the buildings, they look the same from the outside, but they're totally different inside. They see construction of the Learning Tech Center going up. They see the ribbon cutting for the indoor athletic facility. And they don't not only hear that the train is moving, they hear the train in their own head going, wow, Fort Hays State is on the move. That's my school. And I would love to do something for that school. Is that being a member of my chapter? Yeah, maybe that would be a good first step. Is it me saying yes to that student that calls me on Tiger Call? And I always encourage people, I say, talk to the students. Ask them questions. What are you involved with? What are you doing? Are you an athlete, a student athlete on campus? What clubs and organizations are you involved in? They love that. And when those students call, you might say, yeah, that's great. I'll make a $100 gift, or yeah, I'll double what I did last year. And then you start moving down, and then pretty soon, when you start seeing some of your friends in the areas that you live, or when you get together as groups, when you have your own little reunions for your classmates, and you could say, hey, did you feed the tiger? What do you mean by that? Well, they have a program online. It's called I Fed the Tiger. You ought to get on, and it's a matching program. Your dollar turns into $2. And this year it might turn into $3. We're working on some special deals. But it might be a chance for you to be that ambassador for us and saying, feed the tiger. You can name the area it goes to. Doesn't have to be designated to something that you don't have an interest in. Feed the tiger. And even when that program might be over, because it's only a 6-week period, has a caller called you with Tiger Call? Did you talk to the student that called you? They say, no, I didn't. Well, talk to them when they call you. Ask them what they're doing. You need employees? Students love to know that, hey, we need to get together and maybe talk about a job down the road. I mean, those kind of things are fun. That's the foundation. Building relationships, having fun as we do it through the Alumni Association, and trying to build people to a point where they say, I not only want to give and be a part of things, I want to leave a legacy. And after all, isn't that what we all want to do? Don't we all want to know that we've made a difference? It's when I was talking to the group the other day, and we had some student ambassadors in here helping us. And I had the student ambassadors stand up, and I had a few others stand up that were, as I say, some of our more mature folks. And and again, that's what I wanted to do here. If I had the full group with the 7 decades that are represented, and you look at Leo, who is, from the 50s to the graduates of the 2010s. What's the difference between the two? It's just time. Interests are still the same. The goals are still the same. Success levels may be a little different, just based upon that time. But when you look at the reflection of Leo and you look at the reflection of the youngest graduate, and this is what I did the other day, I said everybody around in this room, and the average age was 75, 80 years old, and I had the student ambassadors look up, and I said, look at the reflection of everybody in this room. And your reflection is in the student ambassadors that are standing up here today. That's you, 60 years ago, thinking, what am I going to do with my life? I'm a little hungover. Here I am, a student ambassador trying to do some things. But you look over and you think, how do you do some of that? How do you reflect on those kind of things? That was me 60 years ago. And do I want that student to have the same memories that I've had in my life? Yes, absolutely. And that's what scholarship is all about. That's what trying to build up with scholarship. Our main initiative is scholarship. You know, a couple of years ago, we ended our Cornerstone campaign, $60 million effort, raised around $69 million, thanks to folks like yourselves that really stepped forward during very tough economic times. Now that campaign is completed, I'm a very firm believer that you should be involved in an effort all the way through, just like with your chapter organizations. I think you should always have something going and planning all the time, so people always can say, okay, that's on my calendar, yeah, we can look forward to this, or maybe it doesn't work into my calendar, but I know something's coming up in the next couple of months and those kind of things. And I think that's how we do it here within the foundation and our campaign structure as well, is once one campaign is over, we should have already planned for the next campaign, and we should jump into a silent stage for that and really talking about what our needs are. You know, the real benefits for us here at Fort Hays State, and as Ed or Dr. Hammond talked about, and with our financial situation here with the university, the flexibility that we have, and for us to be able to provide that flexibility to you guys, is huge. You know, I don't really need to go out and raise a lot of money for buildings. You know, Ed told you what the balance in his account is, $50 million. Gives him a lot of flexibility to do some things. And I always tell Ed, don't tell everybody that, you know. But the thing that's really good in that regard is, number one, my university is really, really healthy. And number two, it gives me some flexibility in saying, hey, Rich, you know, maybe you'd like to put your name on something in the new athletic training facility, and your dollars can still be used for scholarships. But we'll put your name in the athletic facility. Or Dennis, you know, maybe you'd like to do something in the Learning Technology Center, or in the Department of Finance, or whatever it might be. And we'll recognize you in a space of your selection, but your dollars are going to be used for scholarships. We have that flexibility because the buildings are already being built. The money's there to build the buildings. The real benefit for us is we can leverage your money into scholarship dollars, and you can still be recognized within some of those facilities. Number one, you've done a lot of things by doing that. I've left a legacy on campus in a way that I want to. I'm supporting a department of my choice, and I'm helping kids. I'm helping students with scholarship support. And that's really what we're trying to do, because as you guys know, the state support will continue to decline. It will. And so the weight that falls upon our shoulders as a foundation is then transferred to your shoulders as future donors and current donors of this institution. And so we need to talk about how do we approach that, how do we do that, and that's why Fort Hays State catapults ahead of everybody else, because we have that level of flexibility to do some things that other institutions can't, just because of our finances. That's a real plus. That's a real plus for us. I'm going to kind of go around the room, maybe pick on some of you guys, and don't feel flustered here at all. But I think it would just be kind of interesting. Who's the youngest alum here? 2010? Okay. What does scholarship mean to you?
What does scholarship mean to you?
Yeah.
Money you don't have to pay back in student loans.
Say that again, please.
Money that you don't have to pay back in student loans.
Okay. Rich?
Yes.
You say 44 years?
Yes.
44 years ago, what did scholarship mean to you?
Tuition, education,
What does it mean to you today?
money,
Support for others?
yes.
Dennis, you're in the same age group of Rich, right? 44? Larry, how about you? You're a 70s guy. Did you ever receive any scholarships?
Yeah, yeah.
What did that mean to you?
Well, it just meant for me the opportunity to go to school here and concentrate on my studies, and it's just time to get back and make sure another kid has the opportunity to be successful.
Let me ask the group, when you were a student, think back when you were a student. You don't have to think very hard. Where did scholarship money come from when you were a student? Where did that money come from? Gosh, I got an art scholarship for $2,000. Thanks. I never thought about, did it fall off a tree? Did somebody dig it up out of a coffee can and give it to me? Did the university just give it to me? And that's what I thought back then. Oh, the university gave me a $2,000 scholarship. I never thought that somebody made this sacrifice to think about me and giving me $2,000. Any different perspective? Do you guys kind of have the same perspective when you receive scholarships? A lot of heads nodding in the same.
We knew where our scholarships came from, because we would always thank the business. And back then, it was a lot of the local businesses in Haysboro giving athletic scholarships. Mine was Dick Unrein, may he rest in peace. He's the one that gave me my scholarship for 4 years.
Well, see, that's fantastic. You know, I think a real push for us right now, because scholarships are our major initiative as far as raising dollars. This really the initiative that's even higher than that is a thank you initiative. To say thanks. I mean, how powerful is it for you guys if you give scholarship dollars and you get a handwritten note from a student saying, hey, thank you. Made a big difference this semester. Versus not getting a thank you. And then Tim Chapman coming in, knocking on your door and saying, hey, would you want to continue that scholarship? Well, I never did hear anything from a student. I'm not sure how that had impacted them or anything else. That's a real push for us too. For students to understand, like the Tim Chapmans of the world, back in the 70s, hey, $2,000. Hey. Rich was ahead of me. I had no idea where my scholarship came from. I feel bad about that. Now that I'm in the line of work that I am, I wish I would have known. And somebody would have kicked me in the backside and said, write a letter. Like my mother and dad would have said, write a letter to whoever gave you that money. And so those are two really strong initiatives for us. And I think, I want to kind of fold that in a little bit from a chapter perspective. We want to say thank you to you guys for your involvement in being here, obviously, but your involvement in the future. Because you are the ambassadors for us. You're the ones that are going to go out and say, hey, Dennis, come on, there's an event next week, put it on your calendar, let's go and watch a ball game and go have some cocktails afterwards or whatever. I mean, that's the power that you guys, the theme this year that Dr. Hammond has is the power of one. And I think it couldn't be any more true. That each of us, how many people do each of us know? Hundreds. And how many of those are Fort Hays people? A lot. What have I done for Fort Hays this month? I can't answer that. But that's from a chapter perspective. It'd be great for you to be able to think about those things. What do we need to do this month for Fort Hays? And how many people can I just give a call to or drop a note in the mail or send an email or tweet or whatever and just say, hey, have you fed the tiger? That's all, and because that's a social network campaign, that's all you need to say. Fed the tiger? Question mark. I mean, pretty soon that starts spinning around, and we're going to have a column for the Alumni Association, and they can put in there, I want to support the Alumni Association. So it's a great fundraising opportunity. It's a great fundraising opportunity. It's a great relationship building thing. And from your perspective, it's an opportunity for you to reconnect with some of your old pals. Fed the tiger? Question mark. Tim, is this you? Tim Chapman? I had a couple people send a note to me. Well, Larry and I hadn't seen each other for a long time. Tim, I didn't even know you were back in Hays. What are you doing? Well, I'm the president of the foundation. You're the president of the foundation. Well, let's do, and I think maybe Larry had that little response earlier today. But you know, that's exciting to look at where we were, what we went through to where we are today, and what the future can bring by us taking those steps arm in arm and doing some fun things together. After all, that's what we're all here for, is to have fun. Because if we don't have fun, we won't come back to this. So you want to have fun, but in the process, you want to know what the objective is in trying to get some of those things accomplished. Scholarship, and the message really that I wanted to share with you guys is scholarship is our number one initiative. One step above that is a thank you initiative. How can we tell students it's important for you to say thank you? You know, maybe you help with some recruitment or trying to get students to some of our events and that sort of thing. The SRP programs. It's always great to talk to the students and say, hey, congratulations on getting your award. Hey, it would really be good if you'd send a note of thanks. Just to kind of get that mindset going for the students. Because it is interesting these days. I mean, in the last month or so, we have lost some support from the past because people said, you know, I just didn't ever feel appreciated. I'd never got a thank you note from our student. So I think we're going to pass this year. Yeah, Dennis?
One thing I've always said about any organization is that people go where they're invited, and they stay where they're appreciated. You may go the first time, but if you go and you're not appreciated or you don't feel like you're part of the group, you're not coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
And so many organizations, whether it's business, civic, religious organizations, they want to invite people, and I'm glad to hear that you're encouraging the young people to thank, because a thank you will go further than anybody believes.
Oh, you can't say thanks enough. And even when we're the recipient of that thank you for whatever it might be, makes you feel good. And with, you know, we had a press conference for Richard and Dolores Fishley from Logan, Kansas. Sold their home in California, sold for a little over $1 million, and they said, oh, well, we want to come and give that check to Dr. Hammond. That would be fine, Mr. and Mrs. Fishley, we'll let you do that. And after the press conference, we had a lot of, some board members were there, and from the foundation, they came up and they said thank you to them. And I'd sent out a note to several others and said, hey, be sure and send a note of thanks to Richard and Dolores, which many did. And then they came back this week for the Wooster Society event, and they immediately came right up to me and said, oh my gosh, Tim, we've received so many notes of thanks. We just feel so good about what we've done for Fort Hays. That's very powerful in those types of things. And that won't be their last gift. You know, I always tell folks, no matter the size of a gift, it's never their last gift. If you continue to steward them and do the right things, they'll want to come back to the table because that really felt good. Ed and Donna Steno, another example of a couple that we recognized in a press conference. You know, Ed came into my office and he said, you know, Tim, you've talked to us for a long time, and he goes, one of my life dreams was to give away $1 million. And I said, you know, Ed, I think I can help you fulfill that dream today. And he said, we are so excited. I mean, they were just pumped. We're giving away $1 million. I mean, they just wanted to dance and still are. I mean, they are just so excited. They said, we cannot wait to tell our kids. I mean, it was like a big check mark on his bucket list. Boom, we did it. I mean, I mean, it gives me goosebumps. Think that's going to be their last gift? No way. Feels too good to them. And we're stewarding them along and that sort of thing. And that's what we want to do with you guys in making sure that this feels good. This was fun. I met a lot of new friends. I didn't know these people lived right in my same community. We can have some activities together. And in the meantime, we can start planning about how can we help the Alumni Association from a budgetary standpoint. Charlene talked a little bit about the budgetary challenges and that sort of thing. Wouldn't it be cool to self-endow the Alumni Association where we wouldn't have to worry about that, and we could say, hey, let's have a chapter event in Wichita and Kansas City. Don't worry about the funding of it. It's taken care of. And then as we raise dollars in support of the Alumni Association, those could be used for scholarships, for ongoing activities, service and education to others just like you. I mean, that's the ultimate. And that's, I think, we're taking the first step. Dennis and I talked a little bit about it takes time. You don't have a chapter just like that. It takes a little time to start building some of those things. But it comes with 2 or 3 people sitting around a table, having a good time, laughing, talking about memories, good memories, some crazy memories about their time at Fort Hays State, and then how can we make a difference? And then pretty soon 2 or 3 more people come to the table, and pretty soon you've got a whole room filled with people with the same drive, the same mission, the same goal. That is development work. That's what we do at the foundation. That's why I've been in this business for 30 plus years, because it's an opportunity for me to be one of the first 1 or 2 around the table and say, when's the last time you were on campus, Rich? Tell me some memories about Fort Hays State, Rich. And Rich says, no, I'm not going to tell you those stuff. But that's where it all starts. And you guys, I see you guys all shaking your head in the same way. You understand that. That's just all part of the relationship building side. But that's what I wanted to kind of educate you guys on this morning. Is there a difference between the foundation and the Alumni Association? Outside world, absolutely no difference. Internally, a little bit different, just from a budgetary standpoint. But overall, what are we trying to get accomplished? Help Fort Hays State. Engage more people. Get more people involved. Let them have fun, give them some smiles. And in the process, dollars are going to start coming to the university. They will. And it's just a matter of how do we do that? What's the right way?
I think that the one thing that I see the chapters doing is what you're talking about. People will give when the relationships have gotten stronger.
Yep.
And where I see the chapters is the first step. Is the chapters, we will turn that over, the ask over to you guys.
Sure.
You guys, that's
Yeah.
what you do for a living. Ours is just to build the relationships and to make sure that from the time they graduate, and I understand, having gone through a whole process of 40 plus years, there were times where I couldn't be engaged because I was engaged in family and business and
Other stuff.
is that, but as I grow older, I appreciate more what happened when I was on campus and what Fort Hays State did for me. So I think that the chapters, we are not going to be directly involved in fundraising. What we're involved in is relationship building. We're not here to ask them to write a check. We're just asking here to get involved and what can we do to help your life and along the way enhance that relationship.
And so you guys know, I'm a very open door policy kind of guy. I'm a right brainer. A lot of the things I do with clay and metal. But, I think from the process, I'll never ask anybody to go out and ask somebody for money. Most people don't have that comfort level. And frankly, I didn't go to school to be a fundraiser either. But it comes down to, like Dennis was saying, it just comes down to that relationship. And I've always told folks, because people say, Tim, I could never do what you do. I say, really? You don't want to go out and make friends, hear stories of lifelong tales, hear great memories about the institution, and make new friends? Because that's what I feel like I do. And in the process of that, pretty soon, of course, I want to talk to people about, have you ever thought about making a gift to Fort Hays? Or I see that you've been supporting Fort Hays in the College of Business, or you were a student athlete on campus. I see that you fed the tiger. That's fantastic. Have you ever thought about doing anything else? Or looking at, eventually leaving a legacy? trying to lead into those types of questions where they eventually, a person will say, what does that mean to leave a legacy? And what does it mean to leave a major gift to Fort Hays State? And then you can get into the specifics from our standpoint, because that's what we do on a day-to-day basis. But that's something that you guys can do. Hey, I see you fed the tiger, fantastic. You know, the 80s, the alums of the 80s are leading the pack with X participation for I Fed the Tiger. And those kind of things. And or getting the chapters to send out a thank you note to people that fed the tiger, that live in that particular chapter's area. That would be cool. Hey, thanks for feeding the tiger. Just a little handwritten note to people. And we can provide information like that to you guys. Again, just kind of stewarding people along. And when you're out talking to friends that you've had lifelong relationships with, and you say, you know, gosh, I see where the Fishleys, a couple from Logan, left their house. Did you see that? They gave their house away to Fort Hays. I didn't even know you could do that. And it was worth $1 million. Are they crazy? No, they wanted to leave a legacy to Fort Hays, you know? Or a person that leaves some ground, or gosh, this person left some stock, and we do accept cash too. Some people will leave cash. People have given their cars. I mean, it's amazing the volume of different options. And it all comes down to what fits your situation. As I said, we're all unique, both physically, mentally, financially, and our interests are all unique. And sometimes you think, well, I can't make a major gift. And sometimes I'll think, well, gosh, have you ever thought about an insurance policy? Really? I can give an insurance policy? Yeah, sure. Maybe you have an old policy that's paid up. You don't need really one anymore. So there's lots of different options. And that's just a way for us as a foundation to help educate you guys as chapters. Not that I want you to go out and ask for money, but it's talking points when you're out there talking with people or around a table and having a cup of coffee. And even if that's not comfortable for you, the question to be is, when's the last time you were on campus at Fort Hays? Have you seen what they're doing? Have you heard about the growth at Fort Hays? It really is amazing when you really look at the facts and the figures of the growth of what we're doing. And you guys, when you look at it at perspective, you put everybody else from the other two rooms and you put them back into this room. We could say we would have 50 people in here. And in the scope of things, when we talk about, the one or two people that are just getting things started, this group of 50 represents that one person around the table based upon our broad range of constituents. You guys are the flag bearers for what's going to really happen in the next 5-10 years. It's going to explode. We'll have virtual chapters. We'll have international chapters. We'll be saying, that we'd love to take the chapter presidents to China to help steward our chapters in China and some of the other international countries. Won't that be fun? Or we're gonna Skype in all the virtual folks that are doing chapters, and have a big event, and then we'll have one annual event and invite everybody that does virtual stuff here to Hays. And it probably might be the first time they're ever in Hays, but they're the president of a chapter group in Connecticut. I mean, how fun is that going to be? But you guys are the ones that are the trailblazers in getting that all set up and doing that. And when that is all in place, and you think about how Fort Hays is growing right now, oh my gosh. I mean, I've always told folks, Fort Hays State is like a rocket, and all engines are firing, and all somebody has to do is go cut the bolts. I mean, it's rocking and rolling. We're sitting there ready to go. We just need a few folks to get together like we are today, which I think is absolutely fantastic, and talk about how do we cut the bolts. Let's just have some events. Let's bring more people to the table. Let's just ask the right questions. Yes?
Okay, so how do you handle, I'm out there and I'm talking to a lot of people, and what I'm hearing, especially for people around this area, is that we are inundated with calls for money. So how do you bridge that barrier to maybe you get them to leave a
And when they're saying inundated with calls for money, I'm assuming that's from other entities as well. I mean, we're all inundated with mail and calls and all that stuff.
The people I talked to talking about 4 days, that they've been, give to athletics, give to this, give to that, give to that. And what I want to say to them is, it's your choice to pick and choose where you put your money to. I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm trying
No.
to figure out the best way to handle those situations.
Well, that's not an uncommon question. I mean, there have been times when I'll walk into a kitchen and sit down, and a person will have a stack of mail on their counter, and they'll say, this is what I received from Fort Hays this last month. Now you tell me what that's all about. And I say the same thing. It's from the best case scenario is for us to be able to collaborate with all departments and say, Rich is going to get this, he's going to get 4 mailers a year, 2 solicitations, and then if he's a major gift donor, we're going to cut the solicitations down and all that. It's totally impossible because each of the different divisions within our campus kind of do their own thing, although we encourage them not to, but that just happens. So I think your answer is a good one. You have to realize that the need is great. And the leadership in those areas are pushing for their cause. It's just a matter of determining what do you want to support. And a lot of times I'll tell folks, if you don't want to receive all this information, tell me. We can eliminate a lot of that stuff. But if you want to still receive the alumni or the Fort Hays magazine and maybe 1 or 2 other solicitations from a department of their interest, let us know that. And we can take care of those kind of things. I understand it is very, very tough. Tiger Call is going on right now. The Tiger Call students, we went to an automated deal where we can go through more calls, and the students are paid employees, and they do an awesome job. If you guys are close here ever during Tiger Call and in the evening, you ought to just come down. Downstairs we have our calling center, and just sit in a corner or stand in a corner and listen to them. They're awesome. Last year they made over 100,000 calls, raised close to 350 grand, and this year they're above, from this time last year to this year, we're ahead by about $100,000. I mean, it's just exploding. We're in exciting times here, guys. And I think a lot of that is because of what you're doing. You're out talking more. You're doing more stuff with people. But that doesn't answer your question in regards to am I inundated with stuff? Dennis.
Karen, one thing that I think that and I've had some of the same problems, is that I tell people what we're talking about in Chapman development has nothing to do with fundraising. This is nothing more than building relationships and getting alums together, and we're not here to raise money. Now, we may have Dr. Hammond come in and talk to us about, but it's not going to be, it's mostly a social event for your relationship building. And just tell them that a chapter is not fundraising. Now, you may use those relationships to have like what they had with the SRP for the golf tournament that Darcy had down in Kansas City, which was a fantastic event. But we're not going to I'm not going to directly, as a chapter development person, I'm not going to be asking you for money. And just lay it right on the line so that they understand that the Alumni Association is we're relationship building. Now, based off that relationship, down the road you may want to give. But that's a total different thing.
My time is drawing to a close here. Number one, I just wanted to say thanks for allowing me to sit in front of you guys and palaver here for a while. But I think from the standpoint of, I really want you to understand the Alumni Association and the foundation are one. We all want the same thing. We go about it and trying to build those relations, and then when fundraising interests come along, or if you guys ever are in a situation where somebody asks you a question that you can't answer in regards to maybe can you give stock, or I've got 3 sections of ground I don't know what to do with, tell him to give me a call. Say, hey, give Tim a call at the foundation at Fort Hays. He won't press you. He'll just walk it through it with you. And if it's something that you need to do because of a tax situation or something that you need to do for ongoing income, life income, I don't know the specifics, just call the folks at the foundation and they'll be happy to help you. That's huge help for us. And sometimes too, if, I tell folks you can do some peer screening for us as well. Hey, Tim, I know that Dennis is on your list and you've been trying to steward him along. Some things have happened in Dennis's life. It's probably not a good time to call him right now. Thank you. That's really helpful. Or, I know you've been working with Dennis, and he just hit a gold mine in Africa. It might be a good time because of taxes to go see Dennis. That's helpful. And, so those kind of things are really, really good because it is about relationships. Because I don't want to go and talk to Dennis if I don't know about maybe a personal situation that has him in a weird place. I don't want to have to be sitting around the table and make him uncomfortable for him to be able to say, Tim, now's not a good time. So that kind of stuff is really helpful. And we can do the same thing for you guys too. When we're out talking to folks and you say, oh, so-and-so, Dennis would be a great person for our chapter. And for us to be able to go back and forth and say, Dennis is in a bad place right now. Probably let's wait a year for Dennis. So it goes both ways. So you guys can really help us a lot with that in how we're trying to approach things. And from a fundraising perspective, what's our number one priority? Relationships, scholarships, and what's the one that steps above all? Thank you. And that's what I want to say to you guys is thank you for your time. As Deborah said, we all are busy in our own lives, and for you to be here today says a lot that you have that interest in your Fort Hays State University, and rightfully so, because this Tiger train is leading all the others at this point, and we can proudly raise our head and say, go Tigers. So thank you very much. Any other questions that you guys want to ask me? All right, thank you.